We know our economy is stronger when we reward an honest day's work with honest wages. But today, a full-time worker making the minimum wage earns $14,500 a year, even with the tax relief we put in place. A family with 2 kids that earns the minimum wage still lives below the poverty line.
Years ago, Congress raised the minimum wage to $7.25 an hour. Now some congressmen want to raise it to $10 an hour. And that sounds reasonable. It's more like closer to a living wage. And it's logical to think that raising the minimum will give every worker a little more to spend, and that'll be good for them and the economy. They'll spend, people will hire more. Yippee, it's win-win. It's no surprise that 2/3 of Americans support a $10 minimum wage.
What's next? I'll tell you what's next. Barack Obama has come up with another brilliant plan on how to save the economy. He's going to raise the minimum wage from $7.25 an hour to $9 an hour. Problem solved, right? Everybody's happy? Wrong. This isn't going to help the economy. It's going to hurt the economy. And the people that are going to get hurt most are the people who make $7.25
Well, let's ask a
an hour.
businessman. Merv Christ owns a restaurant and bar in Bakersfield, California called The Prime Cut. Now, you pay most of your workers above minimum wage.
Well, about half's above, and about the other half is hostess.
So why
busboys.
pay any of them above minimum wage? You don't have to.
Well, they've learned skills in their work life that if I don't pay them that, someone else will pay them more, and that's because of the knowledge they've learned.
You have to pay them more because of competition.
Absolutely.
The market
Absolutely.
sets it for 95% of the workers. What's wrong with having a law just to put a bottom on it?
Well, it takes people who don't have any experience, and it cuts them out of the market. You don't want to bring in an employee that doesn't know anything. I mean, literally, some of the high school kids, at my old place, we used to have a lot of high school kids come in and they'd work in the deli. We moved to the restaurant. Now some of the high school kids come in, they want a job. I have to teach them how to clean a toilet because they don't even know how to just clean a toilet.
What's wrong? Tonight, let's declare that in the wealthiest nation on earth, no one who works full-time should have to live in poverty, and raise the federal minimum wage to $9 an hour.
There's no question that we have to raise the minimum wage in this country.
Today's topic, minimum wage. Minimum wage is a hot topic right now. Last week there was a big strike by fast food workers.
The Wildcat strike was organized by Fast Food Forward, a national movement launched to tackle the increasing number of low-wage jobs in this country.
Yeah, it was rough. Some customers had to actually spit in their own burgers. So if the minimum wage was $30 an hour, that might sound good, but all the jobs that don't generate a profit at that level would be eliminated. So instead of fast food workers joining the middle class, they'd be replaced by this guy, who would then be replaced by this guy who'd kill us all.
So today I'm going to fully dissect the topic of American minimum wage. And of course that will include a brief discussion of fair labor laws, because without it there would be no minimum wage. The first step to learning this topic is to know it from the inside out. Okay, so basically minimum wage started when President Roosevelt back in 1938 was signing a lot of bills, and one of the bills was the Fair Labor Standards Act. The Fair Labor Standards Act officially set up a national minimum wage of 25 cents an hour, which was normal for 1938, and a basic work week of 44 hours, which is now 40. It also protected minors from unacceptable work situations. Now, it took a lot for this law to come into place. The Supreme Court had for many years denied all types of labor unions and everything else from getting wage laws and labor laws. They believe that employees should set the value of their own job. The act was passed during the Great Depression. During the Great Depression, it was a time in which employees were desperate for work and income, and the employers were ready to exploit that. This was one of the reasons why the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938 passed through. Over the years, the amount that is being paid for minimum wage has risen because of inflation. What do you think about a future rise in minimum wage? Do you believe that we need the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938? Should our capital in the U.S. be regulated? Well, this project was about perspectives, And I'm only one person, so I decided to go out and ask a few people just what they thought.
Not a very good living.
Minimum wage. Not enough.
It should be minimum, like what we hear about as a living wage.
Well, actually, I was still living at home, so it really didn't impact me.
Many moons ago.
Right. Thing is, while an employee wants to get paid more, an employer wants to pay less. If an employer is forced to pay more and more and more and more, he'll, just as business does, he'll take his business elsewhere where I'm going to pay people less to do the same work. So it's
Employees. No. Not of any notice. I think raising the minimum wage would have a lot of benefits.
it may help to alleviate inflation if it doesn't cause more loss of work.
It's a relative factor, sure. And if you have specific skills, then you shouldn't be even worrying about minimum wage. But unfortunately, even people with skills are making bottom dollar these days.
No, it's not. Absolutely not.
Comfortably? Yeah. By no means. Not by terms that we're familiar with.
Okay, so that was a little piece of the opinions of regular people on federal minimum wage. I'm only one person with one perspective, so big thanks to everyone who helped on this project. And thank you for all of your honest and heartfelt opinions. From my perspective, I've chosen to leave it out of this video, but I might make a part 2 telling just what I think, and it'll just be the vlog on what I think about minimum wage. If you want any more further information on any of the topics I brought up, like the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938 or the state minimum wages, click on the description below for links.